What is bourbon? Well, let's start by defining this wonderful spirit. Bourbon has to be made in the United States of America. It has to be distilled from grain. At least 51% of that mash being made from corn. Other grains such as barley, rye, wheat, and even rice make up the remaining percentage. Think of secondary grains as spice or herb to add nuance and flavor to the spirit. Bourbon has to be aged in new, unused, charred oak barrels. To be called bourbon whiskey, it must be aged at least 3 months, but to be called straight bourbon whiskey, it has to be aged for a minimum of 2 years. And if the age is less than 4 years, it must have an age statement written on the bottle. It needs to be put in the barrel and no more than 125 proof. That's 62.5% alcohol. And although the aging process can raise and lower the proof of the bourbon, cask strength is the best way to drink it. Early American settlers didn't drink whiskey. They loved their rum. In 1776, America declared its independence from England. Because sugar was used to make rum, and England controlled all of the sugar distribution from the world, that caused some problems. Luckily, there was a colony known as Pennsylvania, had a large number of Scotch-Irish that were experts in making spirits from grain, such as corn, rye, barley. With the abundance of rye in Pennsylvania, America's love for whiskey was born. The confluence of Monongahela, Allegheny, and Ohio rivers, now known as Point State Park in Pittsburgh, rye whiskey was easily distributed to the rest of America. Rye whiskey is what America drank for over 150 years, which is why early cocktails such as the Old Fashioned are traditionally made with rye whiskey. Then, on January 17, 1920, an amendment was added to the United States Constitution prohibiting the production, importation, transportation, and sale of alcohol. Overnight, the bottom fell out of American whiskey. Turn to Kentucky. The hard-to-travel Appalachian Mountains of Kentucky was the perfect place to hide illegal stills, and the accessibility of the cheaper corn grain made the production of moonshine very easy. And then the crash. With the stock market crash of 1929, American frustrations grew. The need for economic growth brought change in American politics. 4 long years later, on December 5th, 1933, the 21st Amendment made the production and distribution of alcohol legal again. Merry Christmas. So 13 years of prohibition made America very thirsty. Most distilleries had long been closed. The ones still open for medical purposes were very low in stock. America needed whiskey, and it needed it fast and cheap. So starts the rise of bourbon. Bourbon became the preferred spirit of the American soldiers as well as the musicians in the newly popularized jazz music that was sweeping the nation. And that's how bourbon became the most popular spirit in America.